This comes as Donald Trump is reportedly considering a lawsuit against the New York Times for its account of two women who say Trump made separate unwanted advances on them. The GOP nominee's lawyers demanded the New York Times retract the story, saying the article is reckless, defamatory, and constitutes libel. Trump's attorney also said failure to retract the story will leave my client with no option but to pursue all available actions and remedies. Trump's campaign released a statement saying the entire article is fiction and nothing more than a political attack. The Times has since responded to that retraction request, saying in part, "We did what the law allows. We published newsworthy information about a subject of deep public concern. If Mr. Trump disagrees, if he believes that American citizens had no right to hear what these women had to say, and that the law of this country forces us and those who would dare to criticize him to stand silent or punished, we welcome the opportunity to have a court set him straight." Criminal defense attorney Whitney Boan joins us. Whitney, I wonder on what grounds could Donald Trump sue the New York Times? And in your opinion, how difficult a challenge would that be?
Donald Trump has no legitimate basis to sue the New York Times. There's no libel that's been committed here. The New York Times was totally within their right. They acted with complete and total journalistic integrity in running this story. He doesn't deserve a dozen long stem roses, a box of chocolates, or any apology because they did what they were supposed to do. They reported a story, and they were totally within their right to do it. There's no legal basis for him to pursue suing them at this point. I understand him and his attorney coming out and saying, I'm innocent of this, I didn't do this from a PR perspective, but taking it to the level of threatening legal action is baseless. There's no legitimate basis for that to happen.
Whitney, what are the standards here? What does a news organization like the New York Times need to do to prove that it is in the right in publishing a story?
Well, first, there has to be some legitimate basis in terms of they didn't just make up the information out of thin air. Now, whether or not the information is the most credible information or not is a different issue. But if they have some reason to believe that it's not credible and they publish it in bad faith, that's a problem. But if they don't have any reason to disbelieve it, or if there's any sort of support for it, they're within their right to report it. They have the right to do that, and they can stand behind that in court, and they're not going to be exposed to any liability as a result.
So I think I know the answer to this, Whitney, but if you were advising Donald Trump and you were his lawyer, what would you be advising him to do at this point?
Well, it would depend on if I was acting purely as his lawyer, if I was acting as his lawyer who also had his interests as far as public relations at heart. If I was just giving him pure legal advice, I would tell him to drop it and let it go. However, his position and what he's doing in terms of running for president and the image he's trying to portray and the type of attention he's trying to get from a public relations standpoint is completely different. So I understand his reacting and saying, I'm innocent of these accusations, I didn't do these things, I would take legal action, possibly, but as far as there being any legitimate basis to make legal threats or to file legal suits, it's just not there. It doesn't exist.
All right. Whitney Boan, thank you so much for your perspective. Appreciate it.
Thank you.